everybody. Welcome back to the Hewkii and Flammeus show.
Welcome back.
And we are doing our monthly album of the month.
Our monthly album of the week. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And this time around, we got Dream Theater, which is, it was my favorite band as a teenager. Um, and uh, and their album Images and Words, which is probably my favorite Dream Theater album, like top two at least. Um, and I'm impressed because usually when we do this thing and you give me like something I haven't heard, I usually like to have a whole month to like run it through three times, and you're like 3 days before the podcast, like, yo, wait, which album was this again?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
like I'm impressed if you managed to make it through in like such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I got through it 3 times
Oh
in those
shit.
3 days or something. Yeah, I
Okay.
really dug it. I really dug it, man.
Yeah.
Got into it.
It's a fun album. Yeah. Dream Theater has a little bit of a reputation of being like music by musicians for musicians.
Yeah.
Um, and
Well, I
that,
just think it's really colorful music, you know. There's so much stuff being explored, all the parameters, and you got these freaking marathon songs that just
yeah,
do so many different things.
yeah, they're insane musicians, and this is kind of the reputation they have from some people of being like these kind of pretentious, almost masturbatory musicians. It's just all about shredding all the time, and I definitely think they have that aspect, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of masturbation here and there. But I find them to be very musical and like I don't see them in this way that they're just like gratuitous prog in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I see them as just really, they're a really good band that makes really, really freaking good music. Is
Yeah,
the opinion I've reached at this
yeah,
stage.
yeah,
It's
yeah. I
just
really,
really, it's like they got such a wide palette, you know. I'm trying to make this point that I was trying to make before. Like the music just seems so vivid, you know. It's almost like the way you start seeing colors when you're on psychedelics, you know.
yeah,
Like every color just feels more like more juice. There's more oomph to everything, and
yeah,
everything feels more profound. And they're exploring. It's just so like so harmonically rich. This music,
yeah,
so many different chord progressions, and so many different meters that are used, and
yeah,
so many different textures in the sound design as well. And dynamic wise as well, they go really quiet. They got some piano ballad stuff on there, and then that turns into like an epic rock anthem with
right.
guitars shredding, and you got Eddie Van Halen in there almost, you know, at points, just
Yeah,
shredding, tapping the guitar, going crazy. I mean, it's just, yeah, there's just so much stuff there.
yeah. It's very, don't be deceived that it's only 7 songs because this is
Yeah, because they're like 20 minutes each.
yeah, not quite. I think actually this was the last song on the album, "Learning to Live," is the first time where they did hit the 10-minute mark in there.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Yeah,
I think the highest they went is like 43 minutes.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's wild.
But yeah, it's this album. It's very interesting to kind of examine from kind of the music history perspective because this came out in '92, and and what was happening kind of in the rock scene was very different. So in '92, you had kind of grunge really taking off, Nirvana and stuff like this, which kind of happened like as a lot of music history is kind of pendulum swing of like counter waves. Like you have one, and it's often mirrors like what's happening in history. For example, if you look at the '60s, you have kind of the non-materialism and the hippie culture, the counterculture thing, which is then kind of mirrored by the '80s kind of overt over the top materialism. Um, and this is kind of mirrored in music. So like the '80s was very over the top, and it got to the point where it was so over the top, and like the guitar players were playing so fast, and it was like everything was meant to be just like to the max. The
Yeah.
hair was to the max, the makeup and the clothes, all of this stuff was
How many notes can you fit in a second? It's just,
yeah. And that kind of sparked the counterwave of stuff like Nirvana, where people were kind of looking for something more raw and dirty and authentic.
yeah,
Um,
because it was very mechanical.
yeah,
A lot of this 80s rock music feels, at least to me when I listen to it, it's just, I don't find it personally appealing. I know some people who are into it, who are really into it. I've heard their perspective on it as well. Some of those bands were being kind of authentic, but some of those bands were just posers through and through, like like you said, with the makeup, with the hair, and with how everything needed to sound like it was made in a factory almost. It's like
yeah.
it's so. And then some of these guys were just lip syncing essentially, or lip syncing on their instruments on stage. They weren't actually that good. Um, yeah,
Right. Yeah, exactly. It felt inauthentic. At least like usually like by the end of a wave, it has reached like how I see it is often like a new thing gets started, but people who are authentically doing something cool, and then it becomes popular and people latch onto it, and then it gets drowned out by all the people that are doing it to look cool, and then the people that started the thing get bored of it and they go and do something else, and then it kind
yeah.
of leaves this kind of hollow, empty thing, which
And
is
then there's
not
people like you on the outside of it all going like, I'm not gonna do what everybody else is doing. I
right.
don't. Just right from the start. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's sometimes how like scenes get hollowed out in the sense that it like uh, it loses track of kind of the original um,
Yeah, and
intention
there's
behind it and just becomes a sort of a costume and becomes hollowed out.
it's a hollow shell of what it used to be because now it's just money grabbing because it's what's popular at the time.
Yeah,
And that attracts the people who are just in it for the money and they don't really care about the art. Um,
yeah, exactly. So I just brought that in to kind of highlight the fact that uh, yeah, in the 90s, a lot of rock music was going in the grunge direction of like you are not even supposed to be a good player, and a lot of players that
yeah,
had become really
you're positively supposed to be not a good player.
yeah. And what's hilarious about it is that you had players in the 90s who had become very good technically in the 80s that had to pretend to be bad players. They
Yeah.
had to develop the skill of sounding like they didn't know how to play their instrument.
Just show up like Kurt Cobain, totally drugged out in a robe on stage.
Yeah, which is cool. I enjoy like rough playing, and and I think people lose the mark when they start to identify too much with one or the other. Of like, this is a huge thing that guitar players deal with. Like when you're a shredder or you like to play fast, you get this kind of criticism all the time. Like playing fast is like doesn't have any soul, man. You should go listen
Yeah.
to Jimi Hendrix. And it's usually players that can't play fast that are leveling this kind of criticism.
Yes.
It's usually coming from like, why do you feel threatened by people playing at a different speed? But I also understand that when it becomes only about that, it's just an Olympic sport. Um,
Yeah.
it's not artistically creative.
Yeah, we could go on a whole tangent here about um making excuses for not wanting to get technically good at something because it's quote not artistic or not
Right,
soulful. Like I,
right.
I, I talk about this all the time with regards to songwriters who don't want to learn music theory, who just who say that if they knew too much, then that would remove the whole magic of the songwriting process. If I actually knew what chords I was playing, if I knew what they were called, and I knew some voice leading, etc., then it would remove the thrill of the chase of like stumbling upon something by accident
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not knowing what I'm doing, which is a parallel kind of situation to what you're talking about here. Essentially, people just making excuses for themselves not being very good at something by saying that it actually makes them more artful.
Yeah, it's coming from fear, but I still think there's a grain of truth to the fact that when you start to fill your mind with concepts, you can get lost in the concepts, and
Oh
there's
yeah,
a certain purity to the fact of just having a blank slate. But then again, there's a lot of stuff you're not going to be able to do, so it's always a trade-off. And my preferred method is learning, and then um, being able to go beyond the concept. Kind of, we've spoken about this before, kind of the pre-rational, the rational, and the trans-rational. And I
Yeah.
think this applies to music in the
Yeah,
same
I
way
think
that,
the problem comes up when people who are like rational or pre-rational or on one of those stages are trying to say, no, I'm actually this makes me more artful. The fact that I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
able to do this because you're not like most of the people saying this stuff aren't really at the kind of level of spiritual growth where your intuition is strong enough for that to be the case for you, you know.
right,
You know what I mean? Because you need
yeah,
a very strong intuition to be able to do something without knowing what you're doing.
like the Beatles.
Yeah.
Like they had this huge, but most people are not the Beatles,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they would benefit from learning what the Beatles did. That the Beatles didn't know what they were doing. Uh, but
It's very
but
well put.
yeah, but anyway, so Dream Theater like puts out this. I kind of consider this their first album, even though it's their second, because their first album they had like a different singer, and they were kind of testing the waters. Like for me, this is their first like real full on album. Um, and this came out in 92 where this a lot of like rock was going in a very different direction, and this was very much just at odds with, I mean, not entirely, because you had metal like Metallica, and what Dream Theater were trying to do is they were trying to essentially blend together their prog influences, so progressive rock, which for people that don't know, progressive rock is it's just rock that is has been expanded into territories like taking influences from jazz and classical and making it more complex, longer songs, like deeper topics, um, all that
Yeah.
stuff, uh,
Sure, lots
and
of odd meter.
lots of odd meter experimentation. And so they wanted to take the influence from bands like Rush and Yes and Genesis, um, a lot of those kind of um, prog bands of the 70s. I mean, Rush stretches, a lot of them stretch longer into the 80s, but a lot of them abandoned kind of the classic prog sound. But Dream Theater wanted to bring that progressive stuff and mix it with Metallica and Van Halen and stuff like this,
Okay.
which hadn't really been done before. I mean, there were some other bands like Queensryche. I haven't listened to them. I've heard they're good, but this was kind of a novel thing, and this was not something that was happening on the rock scene.
Right, because
So
bands like Rush are still, they've got a pretty small, um, I don't want to say a small soundscape, but it's like I'm not familiar with their
I mean,
instrumentation even, but they got a bassist and a guitarist, right? Hope I'm not
they
offending
got a
any Rush fans
bassist
right now.
who is the singer and also does keyboard stuff,
Yes.
and then the guitarist who's also he's very experimental, like soundscape wise.
But what I mean is like with this kind of thing, you've got a bigger soundscape in the sense that it sounds like there's just so many instruments doing
Yeah.
so many different, it's more symphonic in a way. It's
Yeah.
more epic, you could
Oh,
say
for sure.
perhaps.
It's very epic. It borders on highly dramatic at
Yeah, yeah, and
times.
it definitely goes like a little overboard for me at times,
Yeah, yeah,
which we've spoken
100%.
about as well. It's like it just takes itself so goddamn seriously.
Yeah, but counterintuitively, they don't at the same time because they got all this wacky stuff in between where they're just like going crazy and doing like wild circus music. But yeah, this is one of the pitfalls of prog music is that sometimes it tends to take itself a bit seriously.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't feel that on this album though,
no,
very
I mean
much.
not too much. It gets it has its fair amount of cheese. Um, and I'm here for cheese. I'm pro cheese music wise. My take on cheese is like, I heard somewhere that like the biggest truths you're gonna find are like phrases on your grandma's pillow.
Oh yeah.
Like
That's
home is where
true.
the heart is, or love is all you need, or stuff like
It's
this.
so true.
And it's these phrases that have become like so beaten to death and like hollowed out, like we spoke before. Like it just becomes a thing that people say without any. like without being
Live,
touched.
love, pray.
Right. So it's like we become like, oh, okay, it's like it's a cliche, and I think musically it's like I see a parallel in the sense like it's stuff that like touches a certain kind of emotion, so it becomes popular, and then it's like gets done to death. That it becomes like, oh, like it's like it's cheesy, but
Mhm. But
um,
it's right, it's really sincere and it takes you really deep as
yeah.
well, and I think feeling like something is cheesy or saying you don't like something because it's too cheesy for you is often a defense mechanism for not wanting to go too deep into being sincere.
Oh yeah, that one. This is
No?
exactly what I was getting at. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like Michael Pollan, who wrote the book. What's the name of the book? You know the book. How
Do you
to Change Your
mean how
Mind.
to change your mind? Yeah.
Yeah. He talked about at some point like reclaiming the cliche. Um, and
Yeah.
he was like referring it to his psychedelic explorations of like,
Yeah, because this stuff is so true.
yeah.
So deeply true. Yeah, sorry. I
No,
was,
go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I was watching, because I'm a very sincere person. I'm a very deeply, like, I love being able to have conversations where I can just look somebody in the eye and talk about some real deep emotional truths. Um, and I like training my nervous system to be able to do that. But I mean, I still feel that sometimes. Like it goes too deep, and I'm like, oh, this feels a little weird to be talking about this. This is a bit too much.
No
Um,
homo.
yeah. Except when we were on ketamine and I screamed "I love you" into your face, like down your throat. Well,
Uh,
I was watching a show which I really like for letting out my emotions, which is called Demon Slayer. It's an anime. It's called Kimetsu no Yaiba.
uh-huh.
And sorry for butchering the pronunciation, any Japanese listeners. Um, but it's this super duper sincere show. It takes itself so seriously, and it's just the perfect outlet for my emotions for exactly that reason. You got these bad guys, and always like or usually before the hero defeats the bad guys, just to really simplify this for the sake of telling this in about 10 seconds. um, you get these kind of anime flashbacks from the bad guy where you get to see why they turned into a bad guy, and like in their final moments they go like, oh, I repent, I'm sorry for all I've done, and it just gives you the perspective from the opposite side as well. And and the good guys are just so sincere. And they're so angry with the bad guys for being bad guys, because being good is good and being bad is bad. And it's just so beautiful. And the bad guy says some shit like, "Yeah, no, I just enjoy like killing people," and the good guys are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You can't. And I love it. It makes my heart go, yes, you're so right. That is bullshit. Tell him.
Like,
So
yeah.
yeah,
This
sincerity is
is
good.
precise reason why I had a hard time. I tried getting into anime. This was like exactly the reason why. Like at times I was like, oh, okay, it's like, oh, it's like it was making me cringe too
All
hard.
right. Yeah.
Like the over the top, but it's true that yeah, with cheese and musically, it's the reason why a lot of people are averse to it is because it brings up something that's uncomfortable inside of themselves. Usually, I think like um,
Mm,
often guys who are um, I notice this more with guys, like they're afraid of showing their emotions,
yeah.
um, stuff like this, and yeah,
So,
and it's funny because you spoke about looking someone in the eye and being sincere. There's a line on the song "Surrounded" on this album. It goes something like, "I know it's easier to walk away than look it
I
in the eye."
know it's
Yeah.
easier to walk away than look it in the eye. I may have missung the second line there.
Well, it's pretty close, pretty good. Yeah, I was not
And
gonna attempt that.
it's even got, oh my god, this is a synchronicity right here. Because that one, I noticed, has the freaking anime chord progression.
Okay, bring it.
Okay.
uh, it's happening. bringing out the guitar.
Yeah, it's got this probably in the wrong key. I'll play the anime chord progression first so you can tell that it's in fact an anime chord progression.
Yeah.
It was such a cliche in anime.
Yeah.
I know it's easier to walk away than look in the eye. The second chord is you got the 4 chord in a major key. I'm in D major right now, and I got a G. That's the first chord, and then you get an A with a G in the bass. That's the cliche. It's
Right.
like this kind of wistful.
Right. Yeah.
And then instead of going home from there, it goes to the 3 minor chord.
Oh yeah.
And then to the 6 minor, B minor. And then it just loops from there and it never goes home.
Oh yeah. It leaves you longing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So good. When I
Yeah.
noticed that one, I was like, oh god, these guys are so cheesy.
Yeah. I love it. It's actually my favorite song on the album because it's just such a happy, like it makes me feel good every time I listen to it. Um, they're not afraid to explore like these major keys, which are like in kind of heavier music, often stayed away from. So they explore the color palettes. But no, what I wanted to mention, another crazy synchronicity, because you're bringing anime into this whole thing, is that it's probably not an accident, but around this time, uh, they really started to get big in Japan. Like, I
It's
think,
I'm telling you, man,
yeah,
that 5 chord with the 4 in the bass
yeah,
gets
maybe it
him.
was just. And I think, wait, I'm trying to remember the story that the drummer Mike Portnoy he told about when they were touring. I think was it '95, somewhere in the kind of the mid '90s, and he said that when they play, at home in America and stuff, that it's mostly guys that come.
Mhm,
It's mostly nerdy guys that come, and
mhm.
but then when they went to Japan, it was just girls.
Oh yeah, yeah. You hit the anime target
Yeah,
audience.
yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm butchering his story, but I vaguely remember him talking about some of this stuff. But
That's really funny.
yeah, yeah, it's very funny. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I grew up like my teens. I was just obsessed with this band. The guitarist John Petrucci, he was like my you know I absolute idol. Like I
Yeah.
played exactly like him. I bought his signature guitar. I watched all his instructional videos. He was a big influence. Um, and he's a fantastic player. But with time, I've come to notice he's one of my favorite players still. But I do prefer players like Guthrie Govan for the reason that John Petrucci he's so calculated. There's
Mm,
almost like a rigidity at times to his playing.
mm.
Like you can watch Guthrie Govan and he's doing similar things, but he's looking the other way, or drinking a drink with the other hand while doing
Yeah.
it. It's like you get the sense that it's easy, but with John Petrucci, there's a little bit of a sense that he's really, and you have to really focus to be able to do it. What the stuff
Mhm.
that he does. But the reason why I've shifted to other players is uh, I've not entirely like abandoned this stuff, but like he's the reason why I've more looked to other players for inspiration recently is the fact that just there is like an element of over, like every note is precisely exactly what it needs to
Mhm.
be, and there's just slightly a lack of the fluidity I hear in some other players.
Yeah.
But this is very like I'm talking about like one of the best guitar players of,
He
of
fucking
all time.
sucks.
Yeah. So it's rich of me to be leveling any sort of criticism towards him, but it's not meant as a criticism. Just like over time, I've And I
John,
think
if you're
this
listening, Hewkii is giving lessons, buddy.
I'm not I'm not on his level, but you know, every
You're
once in a while I feel like I kind of want to see John Petrucci like let loose a little bit in a different way. It's I don't know if you see where I'm going with this. I don't know if people that are not guitar players notice this, but it's
yeah,
he's
just be
really
a little
holding it
more,
together.
a little more relaxed about his playing. Be a little more, perhaps
Yeah,
have a little more swag.
yeah. That's the
Yeah.
thing. That's the thing. And this is very kind of autistic music, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very German. It's very
Yeah,
eins, zwei, eins, zwei.
yeah.
This
It's
is.
highly calculated, but you kind of have to be if you're doing.
I just want to do it by feeling, man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Now I'm giving that side of the
yeah,
equation.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But
We've come full circle. That's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, that's another Dream Theater trope. We've come full circle, but yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah.
from Octavarium.
Yes.
But anyway, that's for another time. But no, the reason why is that there is a grain of truth to the fact, like when I've listened too much to Dream Theater, I'm like, okay, I go watch Led Zeppelin and I watch Jimmy Page play and like play quite sloppily at times live and play a lot of like, you know, sometimes he doesn't hit the note perfectly or like, he's definitely not as technically
He's
proficient, but
got
it's just like
LSD written all over his face. It's just
yeah, it's just a little bit more of that. There's just a little bit more like he's not too uh overly concerned about nail in every single note.
yeah, that's kind of like a jazzy concept, you
Yeah.
know, just it's a very much the attitude of a jazz jam session. When you go to a jazz jam session, it's just everybody's they call them jazz cats, you know? They're
Yeah.
cats. They're cool.
Yeah. Right.
We're cool. Sorry, I should say we're cool. I'm one of them. I am.
Yeah. I am now too.
Yeah. Yes. You just kind of you go up on stage all nonchalant and you're like, "Hey, it's cool if I play the bass on the next song," you know? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
your solo comes along and you look around and you're like, oh, "Okay, it's my turn." Well, all right. Well, I mean, whatever, I guess. Let's see what
Right.
happens, you know. And
Yeah.
and
And I
then you
think
play
even
a bunch of wrong notes and you make them sound right by kind of repeating them and
right.
putting them into the
I
right
wanted
context as well,
I
you know.
wanted to I wanted to bring us in at some point. I had a revelation the other day, not to go
Yeah.
too far off topic, but jazz is just like musical gaslighting.
Yeah.
You're just playing the wrong notes with such conviction that people believe they're the right notes.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. Because it's, yeah. Because if it doesn't work with the chord that's currently happening, there's a high likelihood it will work with the chord that comes next. So you
Yeah.
just stay on it, you know, you just go,
And if
oh,
the audience is like, "Oh, this is wrong," but he really looks like he meant to do this, so like
yeah,
he probably knows what he's doing.
yeah, yeah. And it does in fact work on the next chord. So it's like,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a lie that you meant to do it the whole time, but it comes across that way. And it kind
Yeah.
of, and it does, even if it is gaslighting, it's still like, it's still legit. Like it's still good
Yeah.
music in that
Yeah. Yeah.
way.
Yeah. This was
'Cause-
just.
But it just hits you like, oh my God, that was wrong. Oh no.
All
Oh, it was
right.
actually good. Oh, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that one.
All
It's so,
right.
oh my
Have you
God.
seen that scene from The Office
I
where
don't
they
know
talk about jazz?
which one.
Like, oh, I'm so stupid. No, you're not stupid. Jazz is stupid. Yeah, jazz is stupid. Just play the right notes, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
No.
No,
No.
there are no right and wrong is relative. It's
Yeah.
we're all postmodernists up in here. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, anyway, because you were speaking about the whole cool thing, and I think if I'm not mistaken, like it was a quote from John Petrucci, like that, you know, we've never been cool, and that is kind of the point. And that they were coming out with this stuff, where this was not what was happening in the rock scene at the time. This
Yeah,
was
they were
very
fucking
much
nerds in
they were
comparison
nerds.
with Nirvana.
Yeah, what absolutely. And so, but they still like the thing is like the reason I gravitated towards Dream Theater in the beginning because I was studying music, and a lot of the music I was being fed through the music school, it felt a lot buttoned up. And the rock music I was coming from, it felt very buttoned down. Yeah, there we go.
Arm, arm. That's better.
Exposing his chest.
Yeah. Exposing my not hairy chest.
Oh, oh well.
Yeah,
He's an
that's it.
elf.
Nice, yeah. I am, yes, there are two types of male beauty.
Yeah,
Um, the elven and the brutish. Um,
indeed. Indeed. No, but what I was gonna say is that I felt like Dream Theater was kind of in the middle. Like they were not, they didn't have like, you know, stick up their butt to the same degree as like some of the classical musicians in the music school I was studying,
yeah.
but they were not as completely loosey-goosey as some of the rock music I was listening to. So I was like, okay, like they, they have the rock thing, they know how to, you know, rock and roll,
Mhm.
but it's
Cra-
got more of the kind of intellectualism of the classical and jazz music blended
And
in
they,
with it.
but were they ever the kind of band to be kind of, crashing and burning hotel rooms and banging a bunch of chicks and that kind of
No, they
thing?
were no. As for, oh, actually, the drummer, he was. I don't think he did that stuff, but he was the only one who was kind of more in kind of the classic rock star direction of you know he was the only one who's
Who had to be
do
chained to the toilet in the hotel room
he was
to be
yeah he
ready
was the
for
one
the gig.
who was doing the drugs and the drinking and stuff like this. And I think that is actually so later on he left the band in like 2009, I think, and they got another member in who was more of like a full-on nerd.
Mm.
Um, and the band for me did not retain the same kind of balance because he brings a lot of the kind of um, what would be the word? Like not machismo, but it's like a lot of like kind of that sexual energy almost
Mm.
of like um
Little swagger.
yeah. He's he's
Little,
he's, he's the cool kid in the
yeah.
band among the nerds in a sense, but he's a nerd too, but he's got a little bit of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's got to be a cool kid. Got to be a cool
He,
guy in the band.
right.
That's
So that kind of balances out in a way and talking about chaining him to the what did you say chaining him to the toilet before the
yeah,
show.
yeah. Yeah.
I was reading up on this album because I know that he was not happy with the drum sound on this album. I was gonna say like a lot of the soundscapes on this are actually not very 90s. They're kind of an echo of the 80s.
Mm.
They got the big reverberated snare,
Yeah.
which I actually like, but um, at some point the producer locked the band out of the studio because he was attached to kind of a more commercial rock sound, and they
Mm.
wanted something different. And as far as I understand, Mike Portnoy, the drummer, and the producer, don't remember his name, they went to war over the drum sound of
Oh.
this album. Um, so yeah, this is their only album which has a little bit of that kind of 80s, like huge, snappy, reverberated snare.
Mm.
Um, but I personally I like it. I enjoy kind of the little bit of the over the top.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely, as you say, over the top. It's a bit cheesy, you know.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
but it has its place. It's a vibe, certainly. Snare
Yeah,
with a lot of reverb.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
thing is, the reverb on it dies so quickly. You know
yeah.
what I
Right.
mean? Like, I mean, on the 80s snare in general, it's like you got a snare that's playing in a big room, and then all of a sudden the room just like shrinks.
Yeah, yeah.
You
It's
know?
it's got a very short tail, and there's a reason why that's done because if it like lives too long, it drowns out the rest of the track.
Yeah, of course, of course.
But I mean, this is a divisive sound for a lot of people. Like I know that some
Mhm.
people just can't stand the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Boom, boom,
yeah,
boom.
yeah. I don't mind it. I think it's cool and like it's epic. It's definitely fitting for this album.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, okay, something I wanted to say about this album. I want to jump on a point that you made before about it having a few different major key songs as well. I really
Yeah.
liked that about this album. I felt that that was a very nice balance, and I'd be interested to know if they maintain that balance on other albums as well. But yeah, I found myself really appreciating the major keys when they came in there. Like, what's the song? It's called "Surrounded." I know
Yes.
it's easier. When that piano chord progression hit, I was like, I like,
Hmm.
I didn't realize it, but I had had enough of all the heavy minor key guitars with the uncomfortable intervals for, for now. This is
Yeah,
very
right.
welcome.
Yeah, this is a problem with a lot of metal, I think, because it's almost like you've got a lot of good artists, but they're only painting with the color black
Yeah.
and gray,
Yeah.
and it's like you can do a lot of cool stuff with that, but it's just refreshing to get a bit of yellow in there, to get a bit of
Yeah, but
green.
yellow is gay.
Yeah, right.
No
Yeah,
homo, okay?
yeah.
We don't want to get too sincere here. We just want to be angry. All right.
This is like a big thing in metal. I don't know if you know Steven Wilson.
Well, I've definitely heard the name.
He's
Yeah.
the singer, producer, guitar player of Porcupine Tree,
Ah. Hmm.
and he's produced a lot of other albums with other artists, and he produced this album Blackwater. No, no, yes, he did produce Blackwater Park with Opeth. I'm not the biggest Opeth fan. I don't know if you know them.
I do. My
Okay.
little brother's a big fan.
Okay, yeah, it's a band I like. I've yet to really take the deep dive to like because I know I would really dig them, but they're very heavy. But yeah, it's it's there's select moments where I can get into that stuff. It's not every day. But anyway, so they started to incorporate some clean vocals, in their heavy growling music, in collaboration with Steven Wilson. So people like Opeth fans were like, sending Steven Wilson hate mail over turning Opeth gay because they started to use clean vocals. And
No
this is
way.
this is exactly what you're talking about, like this attitude of like this kind of machismo that exists in metal music of is like you're not supposed to be too uh sincere or
Not
emotional
supposed to
or
have dicks up
feminine.
your mouth if you want to.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I definitely appreciated that part, and that's actually where I got into Dream Theater because I came from like the first music I got into was like hard rock, Guns N' Roses and AC/DC and Zeppelin, and then it's like hard drugs, you,
Yeah.
you you go to speed and then you go to heroin or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So
I go
you
deeper
keep
and
going
deeper.
heavier and heavier. But so I went from that to like Metallica and Megadeth and Slayer and stuff like this. But then Dream Theater like took over for me because it was like, yes, they're doing the heavy stuff that's kind of hitting the spot, for the metal kid I was, but it's like, thank you for all the other creative, colorful stuff that's in there and just the kind of refreshing nature of having a little bit of a feminine vocal style in there also.
Yeah, just we're like a sincere kind of vulnerable sounding vocal.
Yeah.
That
Indeed.
yeah, actually that's a great point as well. Beyond just the chord progression and the soundscape in that part, it's the vulnerability of the vocal performance. Really,
Hmm.
really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, and he's this was before he had, so later on, I think in 96 or 95, he had a food poisoning that like injured his vocal cords permanently. So he
Whoa.
was he was never the same vocalist after that. He's never been able to really reach these kind of super high notes that he did on this record and the one after.
Yeah, some
Uh,
insane performances.
Crazy high. Like there's one in Learning to Live, the last song, where he goes like up to a high F sharp.
Mm.
And I'm not a singer, but I've understood that when you're not singing in falsetto, this is like when you're using your rock voice, it's extremely hard to.
It's up there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but the vocals they are the main divide. This is a very polarizing band.
Mhm.
People either really really enjoy Dream Theater or like can't stand them, you know,
Yeah.
because they're so over the top and the vocals are so high, like consistently over this whole album. It's like he's just
Mhm.
hanging out in the stratosphere. He's like just made
Yeah.
his bed there, and he's just like, "This
He
is where we're
just
hanging out."
not coming back.
Yeah.
But mm, yeah, I wonder why they feel the need to do that actually in this kind of music to always be singing such high pitches. Like why when did that become a thing? Because I think low pitches are really cool.
Oh
I'm just
yeah,
gonna
it
put that out there.
yeah it kind of lines up with what we were speaking about with the kind of the over the top nature of 80s music.
Yeah.
Is that it became very Olympic in nature. Like everybody was trying to push their limits, and it almost became like a sport. And
Yeah.
to bring Steven Wilson back into this, there was a an interview with him where he goes off on shredders. He said something like, "I can't stand shredders. They're like, they're turning uh, music into an Olympic sport."
Yeah.
Um, and I get that perspective, but then also it got me thinking like, why do people watch the Olympics?
Yeah. Yeah,
Because it's
because we want to see human beings push their performance capabilities to the limit. We want to see what the
yeah,
species is capable of. It's fun.
yeah, exactly. And it's I've gotten a lot of pleasure out of testing my own limits, like purely from a technical standpoint of like, okay, I'm trying to play this line super fast and hit every note, and it's extremely satisfying when you manage to nail that. Like, artistic value aside, just that Olympic part of music is something I enjoy. But for me, it has to be coupled with the artistry at the same time for me to like
Yeah, or I
really dig the
suppose you
music.
can have one at a time as well. You can appreciate a piece of music even if it is purely mechanical, just from being like, wow, holy shit, somebody played this?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
wild.
exactly.
That's
Yeah, and there's some music I like. I will, watch some players that I don't enjoy all their music from an artistic standpoint, but I'll just find myself just sitting there, just like, damn.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's some
and it's
skill.
yeah, and
Nice.
that's a it's a different kind of appreciation. It's
Yeah, it's
not
like a
like
professional admiration of
yeah,
a
right.
of a colleague who's perfected their craft.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it's the same thing I actually get from when I watch like I like to watch football.
yeah.
And I really enjoy it when my team plays well because like damn, like the coordination and all the intricacies of the movement and the kind of the communication and the sub communication. It's just like wow, it's
Yeah, there's art in that for
yeah,
sure.
indeed.
Watching good team sports, really a
Yeah.
proficient team passing the ball around, you're just like, fuck, this is because I mean, I get that. I get more appreciation even. I like watching football too, as you know, but um I get more appreciation when I'm watching a sport that I don't play myself or have never really practiced myself, and I see somebody who's really, really, really freaking good at it because it's less comprehensible to me how you could be that good at
Oh
this.
yeah.
You know what I
All right.
mean? So it's football. I played it as a kid, and it's the only sport I've ever really related with in my life that I play from time to time still for
Yeah.
fun.
Same for me.
And yeah, but then when I watch like ice hockey, it's like I can't even stand fucking straight on that ice,
Right.
And they're like,
Yeah. Yeah,
they got all
exactly.
these
Yeah, I mean,
crazy movements. Yeah.
you're bringing up a memory when like a few years ago, I was doing ketamine with a friend, and we were coming down from the trip, and he was just switching through stuff on his TV to watch, and it was the Winter Olympics at that time. So like it was what is it called? Art skating?
I
Uh,
guess.
Like, where the couple is skating on the ice and like throwing each other up in the air or spinning each other. And
Hmm.
like I was just like I was floored. You could like
Yeah,
hear my astral jaw hit the floor.
it's just like yeah. Became Jim Carrey in The Mask.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that. Yeah. So, um, I love when music does that for me as well. And
Yeah. Yeah, and in that vein, what I was talking about before with watching somebody do something that you don't know how to do yourself or that you're not very familiar with, and I'd say it's mostly when somebody's playing an instrument that I don't play, you know.
oh yeah.
It's like somebody doing some
Yes,
crazy shit on.
that's an interesting tangent because it's like I've often found that when I try something out, I gain a deeper appreciation for how hard it is to do a given
Mm,
thing.
yeah,
Because usually before you enter into any field, you have kind of a low resolution image of whatever that thing is.
yeah.
Um, but once you like, it's like what's it called? The is it the Dunning-Kruger effect?
I think I know what you're talking about. I think it's called that, but we
Yeah,
will. Yeah,
like before you start to study a subject, you feel like you know a lot about it, and then the more you study it, your confidence in that given subject decreases dramatically, and then it goes up again. It's like this
yeah.
curve
Like
thing.
it goes up at first. We are like, "Whoa, getting the newbie gains." I never knew I could do some stuff in this field. Like, whoa, I can
Oh
actually
yeah,
do this. And then you're like, "Oh fuck, there's so much shit I don't know."
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah,
Yeah, and it never really reaches that newbie gains level of feeling of competence ever again. Because after that, it's you just yeah. But I mean, yeah, you just got to be careful not to compare yourself with others and instead to compare yourself continuously with yourself,
yeah.
of course.
I mean,
Um,
and this is probably the reason why, like, it's with the exception of Yngwie Malmsteen, like, it's I don't see many of like the amazing, incredible guitar players that are like extremely arrogant. Like when they
mm,
speak, they're usually extremely humble about their abilities, and I understand why, being a guitar player myself, who's uh, put a lot of effort into reaching a high level. Like the better you get, the more you're just like, I I know
yeah,
nothing.
I don't know
And then
shit.
you see other people and the insane shit they do. It's like it's hard to be arrogant
Yeah,
in that.
like Ed Wynn,
Yeah, right?
like you got
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just super humble, down to earth guy. I'm
Yeah.
sure he's gotten so much praise after so many concerts. People coming up to him just like, "How do you play that guitar like that?" He
Yeah.
probably has every reason to be really freaking arrogant, but he is not.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd say that it's the same thing is true for John Petrucci of Dream Theater is that he's very down to earth and like, you know, he lets the guitar do the talking, and it's the same for me with Guthrie Govan and Steve Vai and these
Yeah,
masters of the craft. It's like they're very grounded.
they're like yeah, they're Yodas, all of
Very much
them.
so.
They're just
With the exception of Yngwie Malmsteen. I don't know if you know him.
no. Is he
So he's
cocky?
yeah, I mean, that's kind of his whole shtick, but he's this Swedish. He really kind of made shredding like a really big thing
Mm.
in the 80s. He was like looked at as kind of the goat, playing super fast. He was like, he really popularized neoclassical guitar playing.
And he knew it. Is
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He was fully
better.
aware of the fact that he was really good. But he was a very interesting character because I think he grew up just listening to classical music like Bach and um, you know, the name escapes me. Is that Hegel or Handel? I don't know.
Handel,
Handel. Hegel is something different, maybe some
not sure.
philosopher. But, but yeah, those characters. So like he brought in the neoclassical mixing the classical stuff with the shreddy guitar playing.
Mm.
Um, but but yeah, the
Yeah, what a bass professor I once had during my bachelor's degree in jazz performance on the bass said to me was that he knows he's really confident because he knows there's a bunch of stuff that he does really freaking well. Um, and he also knows that there's a bunch of stuff that others do way better than he does. You know, there's like slapping for him. He was like, "Yeah, I've never really practiced that. And I don't have a problem with other people being better at it than me, you know. But there's other things that I can do on a world class level. So
right.
So you just get realistic with yourself in that way, I
Yeah, you
suppose.
kind of have
Yeah.
to pick and choose because it's really hard to master all the things. But then I see Guthrie Govan and he's doing slap and he's doing tap and he's doing all different genres and he can
Yeah.
do them all to a world class level. And I'm like, okay, like hands
Yeah,
down, like
sure.
this guy, like he went for it, he did it, he showed it's possible.
This,
But
if you want to put all your XP points into guitar playing, then
yeah,
you
exactly.
can.
It's possible, and I personally really enjoy when there's a certain technique that I am like very behind in, starting to because it gives me the feeling of being a beginner again.
Yeah.
Like I've always like been okay at tapping, which for people that don't know, it's like when you use both your hands on the fretboard of the guitar, so you can play like really fast. It's what Eddie Van Halen kind of pioneered in the 80s. And I was really kind of far behind on that particular technique, or like compared to a lot of my other skill. So recently, I kind of made a commitment of um, really kind of leveling that up to the same level as some of my other capacities. And it was just like a really humbling process of like, okay, I'm kind of back to the beginning of like
Yeah.
I'm a beginner again, and
Yeah.
you want to just be able to play it, but it's just like okay, shit, like I gotta slow down, I gotta
I had
um
the same experience starting the harmonica.
oh, bring it.
A few. I mean, I can do piano, man. Check it out. No, wait. I can't. I can apparently not do piano, man. And that was
Damn.
a thank you, thank you. There's all kinds of I was practicing this technique of bending as well because you don't have a lot of notes on the harmonica, you know, so you got to bend them if you want to get the chromatic ones.
Don't
And
they have chromatic harmonicas? No.
they do. This is not one of them.
Oh, I see, I see, I see.
This one's got exactly 12 notes.
I see.
But you can bend notes too, and you really got to practice that. Like
Oh,
you know,
such a cool sound.
it's so, but it was so it was what you were talking about. It was to your point that
Yeah.
learning a new instrument, even if you know music, or even
Yeah.
learning a new technique on the same instrument that you know already, can be
Yeah.
so. I did it like for me, it was very insightful because I teach quite a bit to make my living currently, and I have a lot of beginners on the guitar. Or I did. Now they're not quite beginners anymore because they've been studying with me for a few months. But um, yeah, just to kind of understand what it feels like to have an instrument in your hands for the first time,
Oh
to be a
yeah.
little more sympathetic with my
Because you
students in that
forget,
way.
you
Yeah,
really do forget. Because I've been playing guitar since I was 10, and I remember when I picked up a left-handed guitar,
yeah.
and I tried to play it, and I was like, wait, I
Wait.
rem I remember this feeling. So, and I had completely forgotten because it's so second nature. Like, can you imagine what how it feels like not to be able to walk?
Yeah, precisely.
Um, so it's and
Well, it's
yeah,
like
I've been doing.
Bruce Lee said, when you start martial arts, a punch is just a punch, and then you start studying up, and a punch becomes very complicated because it's
Yeah,
actually a lot of shit that you need to memorize, and a lot of muscles and nerve, a lot of nerve communication that needs to happen in synchrony, you know, and it's hard. You need to practice it, and then you master it, and it becomes just a punch
yeah,
again.
yeah. Relating it back to what we were saying about kind of the pre-conceptual, the conceptual, and the
Yeah,
trans-conceptual. It's such a universal pattern across fields. Um,
yeah,
but anyway, yeah, starting out like yeah, I've been doing the same with the drums. I've been uh, jamming the drums when I get the opportunity to, and it's so much fun.
yeah.
Like being a beginner again, and it's tricky because you're used to being able to play an instrument, so you kind of want to like as a musician, you feel like you should be able to almost
Yeah, because you can
pull it
hear
off,
what you want it to sound like, and then you just
right?
you can't
But
pull
your
it off.
body doesn't agree.
That's so
So,
classic.
yeah, but it's a great feeling because you improve so much faster as a beginner.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
as a musician, you improve a lot and then you plateau, and this is where a lot of people stop. But then you can have your breakthroughs and you can start to improve a lot again. But it's you
Hmm.
know, for I don't know, 10 years of my life or like 7 years of my life, I didn't improve much as a guitarist until I was like,
Hmm.
wow, there's more to go.
Yeah, you
So
have times where you're not doing it as much,
yeah.
and you're just
Yeah,
focusing
yeah.
on different things.
Yeah. I was switching over, focusing on music production. Like I didn't play the guitar almost entirely for like, I don't know, 2 years at some point.
Hmm.
Because I was just busy making music. I was just like, okay, I don't need to get to a studio. I can just make electronic music.
Just
You
sit at
know,
my computer.
yeah, and to get good at that instead. Um, but anyway, we're way off into La La Land.
Into La La Land. Was there any tangent left to explore about this album?
I mean, I'm sure there were some things I wanted to touch on more, but I think we've mostly covered everything, I'd say. Um,
Yeah. Well, Dream Theater, uh, shapes and sounds. No, wait.
images and words.
Damn it!
What?
10 out of 10. Great album. Would listen again.
Wait, the shapes and the colors? That is Foo Fighters, right?
I don't know. Like my brain, I
Oh,
don't.
yeah, actually, yeah. Foo Fighters, shapes and colors. Yes, there was one thing I did want to mention about
Okay.
the album. So, I was looking into. I saw this video from a channel called The Psychology of Rock.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, I didn't get to watch it.
but they were talking about a study that was done on fans of progressive rock and metal music, and relating it to the big five personality traits,
Which
uh,
are?
which are, no, let me see if I remember them. Extroversion is one, conscientiousness is one, openness to experience is one, neuroticism is one. I'm missing one.
Agreeableness.
Agreeableness, yes, indeed.
Nice.
Um,
That came across as if I knew all of them and I was just waiting to correct you, but that was actually the only one I knew, just to be clear.
oh, okay. Have you done like tests on yourself with this stuff?
No.
Okay, it's highly interesting, and I recommend people do this because you can find really good tests online for very cheap. I paid a little bit at the time, but it taught me a lot about myself to
Yeah.
see how I scored. But essentially, like what they were saying is that fans of progressive rock and metal music scored really highly in openness to experience.
Mm.
And let me see if I have it here, the openness to experience um, trait, because I had it. There we go. So openness to experience uh, represents a person's receptivity to new ideas, unconventional values, imagination, and varied experiences. Individuals with high openness are intellectually curious, creative, and adventurous, while those with low openness prefer familiar routines, traditions, and practical, concrete thinking. So that lines up perfectly, like with this music, and you know, shocker. When I did the test, I scored like really, really, really high in this trade, like you know, 99%.
Mm.
Um, like, and um, the study also showed that fans of prog music are scored very low in conscientiousness,
Oh.
which is characterized by responsibility, organization, self-discipline, strong drive for achievement. Um, so, like organization, diligence, and industriousness, self-control and discipline, reliability and responsibility. So, people in low conscientiousness are spontaneous, flexible, less organized, and prone to procrastination or
Mm.
winging it. Um, I scored ridiculously low, like catastrophically low in this trade.
That's awesome.
Like I was just like openness to experience like skyrocket, and this one was just like absolutely in the gutter.
Mm.
Uh, when I first, I've actually like gained a little bit more. I did the test with like almost a decade apart, so I scored a little higher with age in the conscientiousness because I
Hmm.
had to kind of train it up. But it was just so fascinating to me that I, you know, stumbled upon this video and it was just like, wow, these are, exactly the descriptions I found of myself through um, doing the tests on the big five personality traits.
Mm.
And I can totally see how that lines up with liking progressive music because you're
Hmm.
really attracted to novelty and experimentation and kind of breaking the rules. Um,
You're a progressive person.
yeah, I'm a progressive. Yeah, absolutely. Um, by temperament. Um, but yeah, also another thing I did want to connect to this whole thing is that you know people often say that the punk killed prog. I don't know if you've uh,
Mm.
heard of this concept or been aware of like kind of the counterwaves at the time of when prog was the original wave of prog. Um, you know, Pink Floyd and King Crimson, stuff like this.
Hmm.
And it became quite uncool later on, I think maybe in the 80s or whatever, to be into prog. And people often say that punk killed prog, and they're kind of often conceptualized as opposites.
Mm.
That punk and grunge is very punk rooted, so it's kind of lines up with what I was saying before. Is that punk is about being raw and authentic. You're not supposed to be good at your instrument.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's all about the attitude and your message. Um, and
It's
and
such a
and
hilarious fundamental mistake to say that you're being authentic, almost as if you're being authentic by being bad at what you're doing.
you're right,
It's,
right.
it's really hilarious.
But and prog is kind of on the other side of like people are usually very very proficient at their instruments. But I think they share like a very. I don't think they're as opposed as they've been laid out as. So
Mm.
like, punk is also about breaking the rules and like, who are you to tell me I even need to play my instrument? Like, and for me, prog is also has a lot of the same spirit of like, who are you to tell me I can't write a 20-minute song with 500 different time
Hmm.
signatures?
True.
There's a punk rock energy to that whole thing of like, I'm not gonna listen to whatever the status quo is telling me that music needs to be.
Yeah. My
Um,
music is not verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, chorus, chorus for 3 minutes. My
yeah,
music is uh, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z for 3 hours.
yeah, right. And inventing different alphabets in the way.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I just wanted to bring that in there because I was reflecting on this, like, wait, like they're often kind of seen as diametrically opposed, but I think they share kind of a core similarity in a level
Only
of their
prog, we could
attitude.
get prog fans and punk fans to get real intimately honest with one another. Maybe they would understand. Uh,
Yeah, right. Um, and there is some music that has kind of both in it. Um, you know, for me, like bands like King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard, they have a little bit of punk energy and also very proggy.
I'm
Um,
sorry, I'm just picturing like a really, really buff punk fan and a really buff prog fan just sharing the most intimate hug, like, oh, we weren't as different as we thought we were. I get
right,
you, bro.
right. Yeah, yeah. Now that's what I'm all about because I enjoy both camps and I see their perspective on things, and I will often listen to both things um, because I think they're coming from a valid place in different ways.
Yeah, totally. There is a little bit of like from the perspective of not being a poser who's pretending to um who's kind of hiding behind how much they can shred to not have to be emotionally vulnerable in their music, then yeah, being bad at what you're doing in that from that perspective can be viewed as somehow more true or somehow more authentic. But
Hmm.
it's like it's still a little bit of a I mean it only comes to be you'd never think of that if it weren't a counterwave against the other thing,
Well, yeah,
you know?
exactly. But it's like there's a certain sound that comes from roughness.
Yeah.
It's just it's a little bit more imperfect. It's just a little bit more ugly, which feels more human to people. Because when things become too pristine, it's like it starts to feel fake.
Yeah, that's why I
Uh,
mostly hate modern pop music. It
yeah, it's
doesn't do it for me because it's too perfectly mixed and all the singers' pitches are perfectly the right sine wave. It just doesn't do
yeah,
it for me.
yeah. No, and I get that. That it's just yeah, it's when it's too perfect, it loses a certain something. But then you have
Yeah.
some music is just I was at a concert recently and I was they, they were playing this very uh dissonant music like in Icelandic you'd say nútímatónlist like how would you say
Mo-
it? Like
Modern
contemporary,
contemporary music, yeah. Kind
yeah,
of contemporary art music.
and just hanging out in the most dissonant interval. And for me, it's like that kind of stuff. It's like spice on a food. It's like, whatever the cayenne pepper. And like during this concert, I just felt like somebody was just
Yeah.
pouring oregano on my
Yeah.
tongue. It's just
Just
like
like you're like, all right, are there other tastes gonna come? Nope, nope. We're just gonna stay here. We're just
yeah,
gonna stay. We're just take it.
yeah. Yeah. So it's like when people are emphasizing the imperfection so much, is like uh I have a hard time with that too.
Yeah, it's so freaking interesting how humanity just goes from one end of one extreme to the other with this kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's like we just forget again and again and again in all sorts of different ways that the response to one extremity is not the other extremity, you know?
Yeah. This is like
It's
all of human history. It's like we're
yeah.
gonna do this thing. Oh wait,
That thing
we're gonna do
fucking
the other.
sucks. We're gonna do exactly the opposite. Yeah.
Oh no, wait, that sucks too. We're gonna go back to the other
Yeah.
thing.
So dumb. Come on. How can you not? How can you not realize what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. But this is why I tend to prefer the guy wearing the Tool t-shirt. I actually kind of prefer Tool to Dream Theater in many ways. I go through, phases. I enjoy both for different reasons, and they're very different and similar in a way. But for me, Tool is like they've got a lot of the raw authenticity and fucking like uh sexiness of the grunge scene that was happening at the time, the alternative rock. You know.
Well, like some weird freaking lyrics as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We should do a Tool album, perhaps
Yeah,
sometime. You
sometime,
send
yeah.
me your favorite Tool album. I'd be
We'll
very down.
definitely Tool will come up. So I put all my favorite albums in a hat. I cut them
Mm.
out. So they're coming out at random. But Tool is like definitely one of my favorite bands. But they are doing some of what Dream Theater does with the experimentation of the time signatures. And all the progressiveness. But they have a certain punk rock energy to them that Dream Theater does not have.
Yeah, totally.
And I can actually share a moment. So without going into details, I was getting down in a car at some point, and we only had a CD player, and the CD that was in the player was Octavarium by Dream Theater. And I very quickly realized like this is not gonna
This
work.
isn't cutting it. Yeah. I
So
know it's easier. No, wait,
I
different
mean
album.
that
Sorry.
actually that this album maybe more so than some of their other stuff, but
Yeah.
it was very evident this was like a cerebral, like nerdy thing that I like nerding out about,
Mm.
but it was not for this kind of a situation. So I think we went to the Beatles or the Led Zeppelin and it worked fine.
Yeah.
But just to illustrate that when things get very nerdy, there's a certain level of the sexual energy that gets lost in
Yeah.
in the music. So
So
so so this is like I find Tool to really like walk this line very well. Like, I could definitely get down in a car to Tool.
it's sexy. Yeah. Definitely touch your tool to tool. Hey.
Oh,
Hey.
uh, uh, anyway, so um, yeah, I think that's most of the things I wanted to touch on around like Dream Theater and Prague in general.
And
Um,
very many tangents besides. Yeah, let's call it
yeah,
here. This was a good one.
yeah, for sure.
This one
I
went
love
deep.
nerding out, like going deep nerding out on the music and music history because it's you know yeah, this album it was very pivotal. It really changed the direction of progressive music, and it like progressive metal, like it would not exist in the way that it does today without Dream Theater and this album. They, um, you know, and yeah, and they actually, yeah, I didn't mention the first song, "Pull Me Under," was their only song to be like a smash hit.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
like commercially. So it's they made a greatest hits album called um Dream Theater's greatest hit and 21 other pretty cool songs, something like this, because they only ever had one big commercial hit. Um, this was a it's significant music history wise for progressive music. Um,
That progressive music had a hit, you mean?
yeah, I mean, just this album in general was a big
Mm,
cornerstone.
right.
Um,
Pull me under, pull me under, pull me under. I'm not afraid.
ba-da-da.
Yeah, it's a really
I
good
think
one.
it's about dying.
The way, yeah, I mean, it's nothing good.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah,
Pull me under. It's got some really cool odd meter exploration as well at the beginning.
yeah.
That song.
I don't even.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We were gonna end it, but yeah, it's
I don't know. I didn't analyze it, but they do it without doing it in an odd meter. They
yeah,
do this
yeah. I was gonna say that. It's because they offset the drums, I think, in some parts, so it's like you feel like it's an odd meter, but it's not. You just got gaslit.
I guess maybe depending on how you look at it, I suppose. But
Yeah. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention about that song. Did you get the Beatles reference?
no,
Did you
where
notice
was
how the
it?
song ends?
Oh, was that I did. Yes. Oh, of course, of course. I mean, of course.
But did you get that it was like
I
a
didn't
reference?
realize that it was a reference to the Beatles, but it made me think of the Beatles, of course. I mean,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It
So
was a direct reference
so
to
in a
the
way, I
Beatles.
did get the reference, even if I didn't
Okay.
realize they were doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
That's
So
yeah.
yeah,
There was. I was gonna mention that that song just kind of ends.
yeah, yeah. It's
Just when
for
the vocals, there's some backing vocals that kick in, and they get to be there for like all of 5 or 10 seconds, and then it just like ends.
yeah, right. Or it's yeah,
You
for
really
people that
think
don't
it's
know
going somewhere?
the Beatles, they did this in their song. Is it called "I Want You"? She's so heavy. Like it has
Yes.
two names.
I want
Uh,
you, and in brackets, she's so heavy, I believe.
it's one of the best Beatles songs. So good.
So good.
It's like it's one of their heavier stuff.
So
Um,
good.
and it just ends. It just
It's
cut it
just,
just to fuck with
yeah,
you.
because but in their case, it was because it was the last song on that side of the vinyl, so and they didn't have more space, so it just ends.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's makes less sense here, but
Yeah.
it's a funny
So
reference.
it's like, yeah, basically, of course, a very silly concept in the digital age, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's hilarious.
No, it's a great one, totally.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
that's all, folks, for today's episode on Dream Theater's album Shapes and Sizes, and we will be back in a week for another episode of the Hewkii and Flammeus show.
Indeed. Before we leave everybody, we've got our outro song for this episode, which is my song All Around You.
All around you are familiar faces. It's that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I made that actually. But yeah, this was when I was kind of coming from my Dream Theater background as a teenager. I made this song when I was 15. So
Oh
it's,
wow.
yeah,
Huh.
and And this was I'd been very heavily into Dream Theater in Prague for a while now, and I was getting familiar with creating electronic music. I wanted to bring some of the progressive stuff into the electronic music, and this was my first attempt at that. So it's a long thing, goes through many chord progressions. It's the same thing never really happens twice, and it's this really kind of dark chord progression that
There's only
starts
minor
off.
chords.
Yeah, it's only minor chords, and it ends up in a different key from when it starts,
Mm,
and then
yeah.
it's got these kind of
You got
uh,
a major seven on one of those minor chords as well. Sounded
oh
like a.
yeah. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was just intuitively doing it.
It was really good. It's very,
It's
very
it's a
cool the way it came out.
it's a cool chord progression, and there's so many genres in there. I have like a lot of just like old school gay trance, you know,
Old school
just
gay trance.
yeah. Talking about cheese, it's like it's got all the something you'd imagine people doing sports too or whatever.
Oh yeah, 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 true. Kind of, yeah. So I see
Yeah,
where you're coming, but I also see because you were saying just before we hit record here, you were saying um that I might not be able to tell that this was influenced by Dream Theater, but I definitely was able to tell that this was influenced by Dream Theater as well.
right.
It's very
Because it's a
progressive.
totally different genre, but it's got stuff from all over the place. And
Yeah, and it's got this epic minor key chord progression that just it has so much harmonic color like Dream Theater
yeah.
often
Oh,
use.
also yes, a Dream Theater connection with this is that so Mike Portnoy, the drummer of Dream Theater, he's a um, very big movie buff, and he used to sample movies and put into their songs as kind of spoken word. And I found some of the clips that they used on one of their albums, and I used samples from that movie in this song. So those were kind of
Nice.
the spoken word bits.
Yeah, there are some
A,
spoken
a
word
little
bits
link.
on that album we were talking about from Dream Theater as well.
Yeah, that comes from Portnoy.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think there's anything more to say about this song. Just enjoy everybody, and oh yes, one quick thing about this song. Do you know Svenbjörn Hermikjärvill?
No.
Okay, he's kind of one of the bigger electronic music makers in Iceland, at least for the time. Um, you know,
Had me get it like an old timey word for synthesizer.
I mean
Had
that
me
would be
get it.
Hljóðgervill,
Lil Gervit. Ah, of course.
Hljóðgervill,
Okay.
but yeah, I don't know where that comes
Deep
from,
dive
but
into Icelandic etymology now.
yeah, right. But yeah, I submitted the song, because you could submit to a youth contest and have a song performed by uh, artists or not a symphony, but like a small symphonic setup. And in my case, they found this uh, Icelandic musician who was relatively known on the scene to make his own version of the song. So that exists on YouTube somewhere of him.
Sveinbjörn Hermigervill cover of All Around You.
Yeah, in where was like 2013 maybe.
Okay, we'll be sure to put that in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll do that. It's pretty cool. So anyway, without further ado, enjoy all around you.